And here we go. We will continue the part of the JavaScript inside our booklet to end the theoretical part. We will have a small revision. We said before, the last thing is an introduction for the operators and the constructs inside my code. The JavaScript has most of the operators which are used inside the C and C++ and C# and Java codes. What are the four types of operators? Arithmetic operators, assignment operators, logical operators, and comparison operators. The arithmetic operators is like the mathematical operators or the mathematical functions. The plus, minus, multiply, which is the asterisk, the division, which is backslash, and the percentage. But here it's used as modulus to get the rest or the remaining of my division if I have a remaining. Fine. The next is assign, which is equal. I want to compare the two values, right side and the left side, with equal. Sorry. I want to give a value inside this variable. Sorry. Um, by making equal, as for example, x equals 5. X equals 5 to assign 5 to the variable x, plus equal to add a value for a variable, minus to exclude a value from a variable, the asterisk to multiply a value with the variable, and the division is to divide the value, the variable with the value, and the percentage, which is the modulus, to get the rest of my division, and plus plus for adding 1, and minus minus for deducting 1 from my variable. The third type is the logical types. The AND, it's mainly used in comparing two, in the conditions. If I have two conditions inside an if operation, I want to print this value is integer if the x equals 2 and the x equals 4. I will print it's uh, an even number. Those two slash are or. I have two conditions, and if one of them is true, it will make or execute those lines of code. The exclamation mark is called not. It's giving the opposite of my condition, like x not equal 5. So those lines of code will be executed only if x is not equal 5. And the last operators is the comparison, is smaller than, bigger than, smaller than and equal, bigger than and equal, and equal to compare two values in the right side and in the left side. We have a note here that also the plus is used in the string concatenation. What is the string? Is a variable identified to declare that I will have a value, a word value inside my variable. X equals between double quotation uh, 3. 3 in words, not 3 in numbers. 3 in letters. The constructs is the mainly used functions inside my code, which is the if. I use the logical and the comparison inside the if. The else is used also inside the if I have a condition and its opposite. I will identify some lines of code inside the if and identify other lines of code inside the else. The while and the for and the switch are used mainly for loops. What are the loops? I have some lines of code and I want them to be repeated some in some range or in some times. So I will use the while or the for or the switch or the case. The case is mainly inside the switch. And as I have some cases, and it will be repeated on those only on those cases, and we will see an example during our session. The next is a simple user interaction. We have three built-in methods used in the user interaction to have an interaction between the website and the user. And we said before the JavaScript is mainly used, the programming language mainly used for having an interaction between me and the user. We have the alert is only to get an alert message for the user. The second one is confirmation. I want a confirmation from the user as you are sure you want to do that. I can take this confirmation with letting the user to press Y or N, the Y for yes and the N for no, for example, or take it as an input text, but it's not mainly a text. The last one is the prompt. It's entering, for example, entering your name. He asks the user to say something. So I have here to get an input from my user. Here is the JavaScript functions. This is let you to define function using the function keyword and then take back a return value using the return keyword. This is mainly used for the previous example that I will give you an alert and unprompted message and get feedback input from you, from the user. What are the structure of my function? I will write function, then show confirmation. This is the function. Its name is show confirm. Between the two braces of this function, I will confirm, are you sure you want to do this? And he will enter yes or no. The third thing we will talk about it today is the array. What is the array? The array is mainly a series of places identified by numbers to put a series of data inside. The index of this array starts from 0. In my mathematics, the 0 has no meaning, but inside the coding, 0 has a big meaning, mainly inside the array. The array, for example, I have series of places, and I want, for example, we will go to manage participant inside my meeting here, and I have Ahmed, Ibrahim, Justine, Karim, Lujain, Fadi, Noor, Reem, and Salah. I will have an array of people. Their index starts from 0 till whatever I need, but number 0 will be Ahmed. Number 2 or place 2, which is number 1, is Ibrahim. The third place, which is number 2 in the index, is Justine. The fourth place in the index, which has Karim, is number 3, and so on. So if I have 4 places or 6 places, it will be starting from 0 till 5. If I have 6 places, from 0 to 5. if I have two places from 0 to 1, and so on. And we have a special versions of the for of the loops works with these arrays. This is a small example in my JavaScript code. He starts a script and type, he gives its type text JavaScript, and identifies that I have a variable called colors. Its type equals new array. He identifies his type as a new array. This variable colors is called, its type is new array. How I can identify the place? I will put the name of my variable or the name of my array and put two brackets, square brackets, and I put the number of the place inside it equals the value of this place that I want to put it inside this place between double quotation. As you see here, colors place 0 equals red. Colors place 2, place 1, the second place equals green. Color number 2, the third place is blue, equals blue. The color fourth place, number 3, equals orange. Color number 4, place, the place number 5 is magenta. Colors number 5, which is the sixth place, cyan. And I have here a small loop to print these colors each in a background color and display the name of the color. He identifies here 4, which is a loop, and between two brackets var variable I in colors. He identifies a variable I in colors. It's a variable, changes its value in every loop of this, in every cycle in this loop. What he will do inside this loop, he open a brace and has document.write. He will print out for the user this value, which is dev style equals background color. He will display the background color of colors I, which is starting the I with 0. And then the next step, he will plus this color, this I with 1. As the first cycle, he will put here inside this I 0. In the next cycle, he will put 1. In the next one, he will put 2, and so on. We can go to the notepad. I wrote here these lines of code, the same lines of code, and save it with the same way, file save as, giving a name .html, and I will go to our folder and run our website. We have here the first line is red and its background is red. The place 0. The place 1 is green and background color green. Place number 2, the third place is blue and background blue. The fourth place is orange and background is orange. The fifth place is magenta and his big background is magenta. The last one, which is number 5, it's the last place, but they are 6 places, but the last is 5, as we're starting from 0. It's cyan and its background is cyan. Okay, is there any problems until now? Okay, we're gonna continue the next page. We have here some examples for common events. We have onload and unload. This is an event done when you firstly visit the website or you left the website. We have on focus, on blur, on change. They are events pertaining to form elements. It's mainly used to form elements. We have on submit when your form is submitted. You can see if you go back to the HTML part, the last part is a form. We made a complete form. This is on submit. It's used when submitting this form. We have on mouse over, on mouse out for menu effects. This is mainly the last part of my HTML code. It's the exception handling. This is a part to be done inside my code to catch any error, to know what is the main problem that causes this error, to deal with it. We deal with it with try and catch. I will put try and between two braces run some code. I will put my code and then I will put a catch, and between this catch an error. It's variable err, and I will identify inside this catch a variable txt text. There was an error on this page, and between two brackets an error description, sorry, between two double quotation, an error description and two dots. This is displayed as it is, and then I have error, this variable dot description. It will give me the description of this error happens, why it happens, and I will run it through an alert message to see alert this text variable. We're gonna go to the notepad and start another notepad and paste my code, then file, save as, try and catch, sorry, try and catch .html, save. Then I will go here to search for try and catch and open it to see here nothing happens. Why nothing happens? Because I didn't have lines of code inside this page. So I will go back to my Faris.js code and paste here these lines of code as I have here already made it function. And I will make Control S to save this page. And I will go to run again the website. I will see here the alert message. He is saying there was an error on this page. Error description is undefined. We cannot identify an error here. So the error description is undefined. By the way, it will run in whatever action, but if you have an error, it will give you a description. If there is not an error, it will give you an undefined description for this error. And then when you press OK or any key, the website is displayed as usual. The last page inside our book is the comment. What is the comment part? It's mainly a part you will put it, or the programmer put it inside the code to have a comment inside this function. It's not a line of code he wanted to run. He didn't want this line to run. He wants to give a description as if you have 1,000 lines of codes. He will put in each function one line of comment to give a description with sentence as what is mainly this function doing. He can put double backslash and put his line of comment there, or he can, if it's one line of comment, he will put two backslashes and he will write his line of code. But if he will put many lines of codes, many line of comments, he will put one backslash and asterisk at the beginning, then asterisk and backslash at the end of his comment to identify that this line of code is a comment, so the compiler will ignore these lines and he will not run it or see it anymore. This is our part of the JavaScript code. We ended this part. We will see together a small video, continue our video. By the way, we have 7 minutes and a half, and the session will end it, and we will start another one. But at this session, we ended our JavaScript part, and we will start from the next time an additional or extra sheet of a C++ language, how to write a C++ code. Now we will continue our previous video. If there are any problems, please raise your hand or say if you have any issue.
Right-click on an empty area and go to Inspect. Now this opens up Chrome Developer Tools. Here, select the Console tab. This is our JavaScript console, and we can write any valid JavaScript code here. So type this, console.log, put a single quote here, and then hello world. Another single quote to terminate, close the parentheses, and add a semicolon at the end. Now, as you go through the course, you're going to understand exactly what all this means. For now, don't worry about it. So now press enter, and you can see the hello world message on the console. We can also write mathematical expressions here. For example, 2 plus 2, we get 4.
This is a line of code used to get an output for the user. He wants to print hello world in the application. So he will use console.login as he is opening the console of the Google. Fine.
Or we can do something like this. Alert, parentheses, single quote, yo. And
this is the alert we said. If I want to have a alert message for the user, I will put alert and between 2 brackets and 1 single quotation, the message that I wanted to be displayed inside my website.
And here's an alert. In the next lecture, I'm going to talk about setting up your development environment for writing JavaScript code. In order to write JavaScript code, you need a code editor. There are various code editors out there, including Visual Studio Code or VS Code, Sublime Text, Atom, and so on. Out of these,
those are mainly the programs you can write the code inside it to be run as a website. But the most used program is the Visual Studio.
My favorite is Visual Studio Code that you can download from code.visualstudio.com. It's a very simple, lightweight, cross-platform, and powerful editor. So if you don't have Visual Studio Code on your machine, go ahead and download it. The other thing I want you to install is Node. You can download Node from nodejs.org. Now, technically, you don't necessarily need Node to execute JavaScript because, as I explained before, you can execute JavaScript code inside of a browser or in Node. But it's good to have Node on your machine because we use that to install third-party libraries. And also, later in this section, I'm going to show you a preview of Node. So, pause the video now and download Visual Studio Code as well as Node. Once you're done, come back, continue watching. All right, now I want you to create a new folder. Call that JS-Basics. The name doesn't really matter. We just want to have a folder for writing all the code in this course. Now, drag and drop this folder into Visual Studio Code. Okay, we've got this folder open. Let's add a new file here, index.html. Now, you don't really need to know HTML in order to take this course, but if you want to be a front-end developer, you should know your HTML well. Now, in this file, I want you to type an exclamation mark and then press tab. This generates some basic HTML boilerplate. We don't really care about any of this code here. We're going to use this as a host for our JavaScript code. You're going to see that in the next lecture. So save the changes. Now open the extensions tab here. Here in this box, search for live server. So live server is a very lightweight web server that we're going to use to serve our web application. So install this, then you will have to restart Visual Studio Code. When you're done, go to the Explorer tab, right-click index.html, and select Open with Live Server. This will open up Chrome or your default browser and point it to this address. That's where our web application is served from. Now, currently we have an empty page. Now, to make sure that everything is working properly, let's go back to Visual Studio Code. Here in the body section, let's add an H1, press tab, and type hello world. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, we can see this page is refreshed automatically, and we've got the hello world heading here. In the next lecture, you're going to write your first JavaScript code. All right, now we're ready to write our first JavaScript code. In order to write JavaScript code here, we need a script element. There are two places where we can add a script element. We can add that here in the head section or in the body section. The best practice is to put the script element at the end of the body section after all the existing elements. So here after H1, I'm going to type script and press tab. This is our script element. Now, why did I say that as a best practice, we should put the script element here? Well, there are two reasons for that. One reason is that the browser parses this file from top to bottom. So if you put the script element here in the head section, you might have a lot of JavaScript code there. So your browser may get busy parsing and executing that JavaScript code, and it won't be able to render the content of the page. So this will create a bad user experience. Your user looks at your web page, it's white or blank, while your browser is busy parsing and executing your JavaScript code. So that's reason one. The second reason is that almost always the code that we have in between script elements needs to talk to the elements on this web page. For example, we may want to show or hide some elements. So by adding the code here at the end of the body section, we'll be confident that all these elements are rendered by the browser. Now, there are exceptions to this rule.